Hey everybody, I'm not childish, but I will try Bubba soup. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm working at a different angle here. And I thought I'd try it. What the hell, I'm kind of trying a bunch of things at once here. I am the type who's never satisfied with anything. So, because anything can be made better. Or maybe completely changed. I have kind of been that way all my life, so even my own work I'm never satisfied with. And that's a good thing in a lot of ways. Bet you didn't know I was a cook. Well, actually, I prefer to call myself an untrained chef. I do believe that I've gone above that just cooking level. I try to really make something unique, not just good. I try to come up with new ways of doing old things, and sometimes it works. I might have even told you one time I tried to make blue cheese dressing because I didn't like the vinegar taste in all the ones out there on the market. The first batch I made, for some dumb reason, I put sugar in it. It tasted horrible. In fact, I dumped it out. Normally I'll still eat the stuff that I make and try again later, but this one I dumped out. I was living on a boat at the time. Went back up to my car, got out there to the grocery store, got the ingredients all over again, and came back and tried again. The second batch was good enough. I ate it. I used it, in fact, more for dipping than anything. As a dressing, it was good. But I like dipping carrots in it for some reason, and I like pepperonis in it. Probably a good hard salami would be alright too. So anyway, some years ago, how do I want to start this? In my cooking video, that's right, I did tell you I was a cook or chef. I forgot I even made that video. I explained to you to do things that cook in the way that you like your food. That's right. So anyway, I was at Food Lion, and here was a pair of steaks. They weren't really on sale. They were on reduced for quick sale because they were running out on their date. Now they had fairly good marbling in them. If you don't know about that, I'm not going to explain because I don't have any pictures to show you. But I thought they looked pretty good. They were $14 for like £1.5 pounds original price, and I bought them for $7. And that's, of course, no, they never cut their prices in half unless the stuff's gone out of date. I'm going to tell you this, don't worry so much about dates. And after watching my wife leave meat out after she cooked it for 2 to 3 days and still eat it, we worry about a lot that we don't need to. So I take these things home and I just throw them in the refrigerator, figuring I'm going to make them up real soon. It ended up they sat there for a day and a half to 2 days, and I thought, well, maybe I ought to at least season them. So I pulled them out, and all I used was one of these steak seasonings. It's got a whole bunch of stuff mixed in it, and And I'm going to tell you this, make sure you get one with salt. If you don't buy one with salt, you're making the biggest mistake, because that helps draw the moisture out, okay? I do know that much. I understand your salt issue, but I can't help it. If you want it to taste good, this is what you got to do. So I just sprinkled some of that on them. I put them on a plate and I threw them back in the refrigerator, and I thought I was going to do something like the expensive restaurants do, which is they age their steaks. So what do you mean by that? They take their steaks, and then in a controlled environment, they take the whole chunk of beef before it's cut up into a steak, and they put it in that controlled atmosphere, which is basically a freezer, and refrigerator, and they leave it sitting there, I've heard, as much as 45 days, unwrapped, just out in the open. But they have, they have a moisture level that they control, and the temperature they control. Those are the two big things. And I think there's one more. I think they circulate their air. And I'm bringing that up because this refrigerator that I'm now using has a fan system in it. And you'll notice it turns off every time you open the door. I've come to the conclusion that that might be part of the secret to why the food in this refrigerator is lasting so much longer than any refrigerator I've had before. And so, and it's a new one, it's brand new, but I didn't buy it for that feature. I didn't even think about that. I looked at it as the way it worked, access and things like that. So those steaks ended up staying in that refrigerator for 3 days, uncovered. Now, every day I did flip them over. Normally, I believe they would have been put on a wire rack. So I flipped them because of knowing I'm laying them on a plate that basically doesn't give them the air to the bottom side. I got them out finally. It was a night where my wife would be around, so I didn't feel like I was wasting them. I always like things, you might say, fresh produce, fresh off the grill. I don't like reheating, so I wanted to do this one right. So I had a hot Teflon pan, just the littlest bit of olive oil in it. Forget that damn butter shit and all. I'll tell you, for what I did with these, you definitely do not want anything extra. Super hot pan, threw them in there. Can't say how long I left them on the one side. But I'd say, maybe 5 minutes, and I turned the heat down some. Left it open, flipped them over, and I mean, on the first side, they actually looked burnt. I was worried I might have screwed them up. That's how long they went, and that's how dark they were. Flipped them over, did the other side. My wife yelled at me for burning them. At that point, I didn't think I did burn them. I was pretty confident things were working the way I wanted. I made some other vegetables and all. You want to have something good? Just take zucchini, cut it up into big chunks, throw it in a frying pan that's nice and hot with a little bit of olive oil, garlic, salt, black pepper, and yeah, that's it. And you don't even have to fry it till it's soft. Just get a little bit of, I'll call it bark or burn on the outside, and it's great. Oh yeah. Italian seasoning, one of those that has like 5 different herbs in it, and I know it's better fresh and all that bullshit, but I can't justify keeping that stuff around for that long. And sprinkle some of that on it. Adds a little extra kick with the olive oil, then the garlic, salt, and the black pepper. don't go crazy on anything. Just cook them, you know, fry them good. They're great. So anyway, I had pulled the steaks out. I left them rest. And when I cut down into them, it was as if I was cutting into a block of warm butter. And when I ate them, that's when the butter hit me in the head. It was like they were buttered. I mean, that's how moist and good they were. Some people might have liked to have them cooked a little longer. And that's okay, because I don't think you could have ruined these steaks. If you wanted to, you could have turned them back to a real low temperature or stuck them in the oven for a couple minutes. I'm telling you, they were fabulous. This was the best steaks ever. But then I remembered one time, and I gotta tell you this, because these two were in competition with each other. I went to a restaurant, The Landing in Hanover, Pennsylvania. You'd never guess what kind of a place it was. Very nice inside, you know, linen tablecloths. All their waitresses and waiters were in black and white with ties, bow ties, and they had a special where they had prime rib that was blackened. Well, I love blackened stuff ever since I went to New Orleans and found out that burning it on the outside is not wrong. A hamburger that's burned on the outside, and I don't mean where you taste charcoal, but just before that, and then still red on the inside, maybe pink, fabulous. It's like having the best of both worlds. And anyway, I dared to order it. Now, normally when I think of prime rib, I think of this big, fat piece of meat, and I mean a lot of fat in it. And even though I like the flavor, I really have a problem getting past all that fat. This thing came out looking just about like my steak. I had forgotten all about it. It was, you know, about that big, nice chunk of meat, a lot thicker than mine though, and yet it was prime rib. So they took just the, you might say, the heart out of the prime rib, and they blackened that, and it was still red inside, but it wasn't cold. It was, you know, it was up to a decent temperature, and that thing melted in my mouth. And I always swore that was the best piece of meat I had ever eaten. Well, now I made my own, so it was pretty cool. I never expected to outdo that. In fact, I had forgotten about it. But when I bit into my steak, all those memories came back. I didn't blacken mine, but it was on that idea. You know, slightly different spices when you do Cajun cooking. But that piece of prime rib was fabulous. And those two steaks, I wish I would have actually paid attention to what was written on the pack, as far as, it might have been a ribeye. I don't remember, because I didn't really think I was going to make something that was that good. But just thought I'd share it with you. I had to do something. I'm out of ink. I'm waiting for it to show up, so I can't print any more of my papers. I don't really want to start a different trend or tradition. Everybody or anybody will know my videos based on the way that I present them. So in the beginning, so when you're looking down the list, if you see them, you'll know to avoid them. And that's what's most important. Anybody wants to try a good steak, follow my directions there. And see you next time. If you have any questions, well, ask me. I mean, not just about the steaks, about anything. I got an opinion, so What the hell, you might as well hear mine as anybody else's. I'm as smart as anybody else out there. Trust me, you are too. So, have a good evening.